Hi there, this is 2 Minute Tips with Blair, and this week we're going to talk briefly about one key way that you can go about growing the performance of your team. In fact, this key tip is what I've come to view as the real secret of effective leaders. And that secret is that they simply have a system for noticing what their people are doing. And actually, if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you don't have a system for noticing what your people are doing, it's really difficult to provide positive feedback to encourage specific activity because you're not noticing it happen. And if you don't have a system for noticing what your people are doing, it's really difficult to correct their performance because you're not noticing where they're off track. And it's really hard to provide support to people if you're not noticing that they need support and they need help. So the concept of actually having a system for noticing what people are doing makes a huge amount of sense. But how do you go about that? Well, one example comes from a manager who first cued me up to this whole concept. He headed a business unit in a large organisation, and his business unit had been the highest performing business unit for 3 consecutive years. And when I interviewed him and asked him a little about what he was doing, he said very simply that what he viewed as the secret to success was that every time he got out of his chair, he'd just simply go looking for good things. And I was a little curious about what he meant by that, so I inquired further. And so what he said was that it didn't matter what he was going to do, whether he was going to get a coffee or go and see a customer or just go to the printer to pick up a bit of printing, he'd make sure he'd walk past 1 or 2 of his people, pay attention to what they're doing, and if they were on track, he'd simply pass a positive comment. And he absolutely swore that that was the key to not only his success, but the success of his team. And you know what? Suddenly, I started to notice this everywhere. Every time I talked to a high-performing manager, I discovered that person had a system. A regular, daily system for noticing what their people are doing. So, in my view, that's the key. That's the real secret of effective managers. Next week, we're going to explore that a little further. We're going to look at one critical thing that you must pay attention to when you're putting a system like that into place. And we're going to share some examples of how other managers have successfully grown the performance of the team by paying attention to what the people are doing. Until then, have a superb week.